Welcome to the relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. Another look at Stephanie Han's upcoming fight for the newly vacated WBA lightweight title that Katie Taylor used to hold. El Paso, Texas. El Paso's Stephanie Han, 9-0 with 2 KOs, is getting ready for the biggest fight of her professional boxing career yet. The undefeated product out of El Paso will fight for the WBA Women's Lightweight title on February 22nd at the El Paso County Coliseum. Han, number 2 ranked fighter in the WBA's women's lightweight rankings, will take on Hannah Terlep, 5-1 with 2 KOs, the number 10 ranked fighter in those same ranks. The title fight between Han and Terlep is one of 8 bouts on the Ring Wars 15 card. Ring Wars is being promoted by King's Promotions in collaboration with Warriors Edge Boxing. I've often talked about King's Promotions in passing, one of the smaller promotional outfits that the casuals may not be aware of. They do smaller shows on the smaller circuit, but they're a well-to-do outfit, and it has its virtues. Alicia Baumgartner was with them for a time, now Stephanie Han is, and they have helped Stephanie line herself up to become a bona fide world champion. Stephanie's sister, Jennifer Han, is El Paso's first boxing world champion. Jennifer won the vacant IBF women's featherweight title in September of 2015. Now Stephanie, who won the WBA title, the Intercontinental title, will look to follow suit and become a boxing world champion just like her big sister. So there are a lot of moving parts in today's lightweight division that is a lot more political now than it used to be. Boxer has a prize stallion in the lightweight division. Matchroom has 2. And any one of those 2 major promotional outfits may approach Stephanie Han shortly after she beats Hannah Terlep, because I think she's going to. I like Stephanie's chances to become world champion, but after that, it only gets more difficult. She will fast become a target for Caroline Dubois, for Terry Harper, for Beatrice Ferreira. Earlier this week, we saw a back and forth between Caroline and Terry, who could not agree on the money for a unification match between them. And because they're not having any luck with each other, they may both jointly target Stephanie to try to take what she's got if she wins the WBA, and I think she's going to. Beatrice may target her as well, because Beatrice is trying to get a fight with Caroline Dubois, and she's having about as much luck with Caroline as Caroline is having with Terry. She's just not getting anywhere. Whereas in Stephanie, you have a less expensive alternative to those unification matches that isn't with a major promotional outfit that you can easily offer a career-high purse to fight on an even bigger stage than the one she's about to fight on. Nowhere near as much friction. But that's not all. Stephanie may also be approached by the good people at MVP on behalf of Holly Holm. Holly Holm, who is a champion in both boxing and mixed martial arts, is making a decision to perhaps come back to boxing, and if she does, she might target Stephanie for Stephanie's WBA title so that she can perhaps bring it to an Amanda Serrano showdown. I could see that happening as well. That the biggest opportunities for Stephanie are right around the corner on the other side of the Hannah Terlep fight next month on the 22nd. Men's super lightweight news. Bob Arum has revealed that Teofimo Lopez is in talks for a 3-fight deal with Turkey El Sheikh.
The Saudis have stepped up to the plate, and Top Rank is pleased with the offer. Now it's up to Teofimo. I think Teofimo will like the package the Saudis have presented.
Sounds like Top Rank likes the package the Saudis have presented. Maybe it's because it doesn't require them to do much of anything. Whatever Teofimo gets paid, because he's still under contract, they'll get a piece of that off the top without having to stake any of their own money trying to do fights for Teofimo. Think about it. Say that Teofimo owes them 1 fight or 2 fights under his existing Top Rank deal. Well, going over there and fighting on Turkey shows, that may not satisfy that contractual obligation. So, as long as you're over there boxing on Turkey shows for 3 fights, they're gonna get a piece of your action without having to spend any of their own money and without having you as a headache.
Your Turkey's headache now.
They were at an impasse not that long ago, Top Rank and Teofimo, who is seeking release from his existing deal. Not sure that he was going to get it, and I'm not sure that this qualifies, short of Turkey El Sheikh buying his contract out. Turkey just using him on his shows, that doesn't necessarily mean that Teofimo's in the clear with Top Rank. He may still be contractually bound to them, and if Turkey takes it upon himself to buy out Teofimo's contract, well, that's still a win for Top Rank.
That's even better.
So that they can re-encumber some of the money they've already invested in Teofimo's career. Because in case you're not aware, without them making the investment that they made, Teofimo doesn't get here. He is the product of their promotion.
It's the part of the story the bleeding hearts that always play the fighters the violin leave out, deliberately leave out. That without the promoters doing what they're doing, the fighters don't get to this point.
Where a Turkey El Sheikh might want to use you for one of his star-studded shows.
You can make a lot of money.
Now, yeah, Inoue recently talked about that. Riyadh season, saying it's something that any boxer should want to consider.
Over to Inoue.
The reigning Ring Magazine Undisputed Super Bantamweight Champion will sport Riyadh season branding on his ring attire for this Friday's championship defense against Yi Jun Kim. It will symbolize Inoue's role as an ambassador for the movement headed by Turkey El Sheikh, head of Riyadh season and the newest owner of Ring Magazine. I look at where I am in my career, we see what's happening with Riyadh season and how big it has been for boxing, Inoue told the Ring. It's something that any boxer should want to consider, so we made the decision to enter into this partnership. Inoue's championship defense against Kim will take place this Friday at the Ariake Arena in Tokyo, Japan. The event will air live on Lemon-O pay-per-view in Japan and ESPN Plus in the United States beginning at 4:15 a.m. Eastern Time and 6:15 Pacific Mountain Local Time. Ring walks for the main event are expected around 5:45 a.m. Eastern. Inoue will attempt his third defense as the ring and undisputed champion and fourth overall defense at the weight. As previously reported by the Ring, Inoue, 28-0 with 25 KOs, entered a lucrative financial agreement with Riyadh season on December 13th. The pact includes sponsorship for Inoue's fight and the four-division champion's possible foray into the Middle East market. The signing provided Riyadh season with a direct link to the Ring's entire pound-for-pound top five. Inoue joins the Ring unified heavyweight champion Alexander Usyk, four-division champion Terence Crawford, the Ring undisputed light heavyweight king Artur Beterbiev, and former WBA 175-pound titleist Dmitry Bivol. Inoue was the last of that elite group to join forces with El Sheikh. He'd long ago emerged as by far the leading draw in Japan, with demand at an all-time high after he was unanimous choice for 2023 Fighter of the Year. His championship defending knockout win over Luis Neri last May 6th was held in front of 55,000 fans at the Tokyo Dome, marking the venue's first boxing event in more than 34 years. Big plans are in store for Inoue's 2025 campaign, including a return to the United States and, as previously mentioned, the possibility of appearing atop a show in Saudi. It all factored into what he considered to be a no-brainer of a decision to join forces with El Sheikh. He is really good for boxing, insisted Inoue, someone that is going to continue to change how business is done in the sport for the better.
Talk about the opportunities that Turkey's creating for all of these fighters. Inoue, who was already doing really well all by himself. For Teofimo,
He really wasn't, and wasn't happy with his current situation.
wasn't happy with Top Rank.
Didn't want to accept any fights. The Brian Norman fight, the proposed Subriel Matias fight. This way, you get him the kind of money that he wants. You can get him that,
But it ain't without strings attached.
Hey, so when do you go into camp with Eddie? And talk to me about how that link up with Eddie and
I know, he
Canelo
doesn't know. To be real, no, I'm looking for, to be honest, right now, Eddie likes to do with Canelo camps in up north in Cali, so those are things that we're talking about as well. Just getting things organized before we start camp officially. You know, I'm not fighting till maybe early summertime.
Okay.
So I got a couple months to work around, train, get used to, and adjust to Team Canelo, and then go from there.
talk about Turkey's contribution to the sport. We often talk about the fights he's making and the opportunities that he's creating within the sport of boxing.
But it's also a filtration process, separating the contenders from the pretenders. as it were. What happened to Jared Anderson at the hands of Martin Bacoli? What happened to Tyson Fury 2 times at the hands of Alexander Usyk? Fights that would not have otherwise got made, and we got the answers we were looking for.
So think about how many fights haven't gotten made for Teofimo Lopez that Top Rank offered him because he didn't like the money.
The Saudis are more capable of offering Teofimo the kind of money that he likes.
The kind of money that he wants, but it's not to fight the Steve Clagettes of the world.
Claggett!
He's going to have Eddie Reynoso in his corner now, and we have to see what, if any, difference that makes for Teofimo.
Training with Eddie and training at high altitude.
Patching up the holes and learning to apply pressure effectively the way that Canelo Alvarez does when closing the distance on a taller, longer fighter that would like to keep him at arm's length. Is any of that going to rub off on Teofimo?
It better.
Because he says he wants to unify titles with Richardson Hitchens, and in a fight like that, being able to close the distance, keep up with, and keep on the opponent, it's pivotal. This guy's gonna move on you all night, try to keep you at arm's length, stay behind his own jab, and it's up to you to get close to him to land those big shots, those meaty punches. But if you can't,
It's Haney versus Prograis all over again.
could be if Teofimo doesn't learn how to effectively close the distance and put pressure on the other guy. I am curious to see what Teofimo will look like under Eddie Reynoso's watchful eye, his tutelage.
Elated that he now gets to make the kind of money that he's always wanted to make, but it comes at a price.
Fight at Riyadh season. They're not going to match you soft. You say that you want to unify titles with Richardson Hitchens, then you want to move up, you want to fight Boots Ennis.
Careful what you wish for.
So you may end up in an even more dangerous situation than the Matthias fight would have been. The Brian Norman fight would have been.
Careful what you wish for.
Political boundary lines and bureaucratic red tape over the years have helped to extend an unbeaten fighter's record or a champion's reign on the premise that the meaningful fights, the significant ones, the dangerous ones, often take a very long time to make. But when you remove all those obstacles, as Turkey El Sheikh has, you get the answers you're looking for that much faster.
Speeds up that process.
How will Teofimo Lopez fare on Turkey El Sheikh's shows? How will he make out?
We'll see.
They don't even allow these today. They don't even allow these today because they're so dangerous. But that's what they used when I did the film. They're barely 6 ounces. They're Reyes, and they're literally lethal. So I still have them because it's a time when people were tougher. Sorry, they were. Life is just getting a little easier and easier and easier. And, oh, that's great. It's wonderful, but it's not. I think when we force ourselves into tough situations, that's what the human creature is supposed to do. They're not supposed to have wheels on their suitcases. They're not supposed to have lawnmowers with engines that pull them along. It's a convenience, no question, but it just makes things easier. Now with AI, you can literally put your brain in a pickle jar and have that machine do it. So I cherish these moments. I cherish hard work, even though I hate it. I know it's like strong medicine. Tastes horrible going down, but it makes you feel better.
Two-division champion Devin Haney had an adverse reaction to Sylvester Stallone's parallel, saying, "Dude don't know a left hook from a fish hook, and he's got the nerve to speak on times being easier in boxing like he wasn't just an actor. Buddy, them Rocky movies wasn't real."
Here we go.
Sylvester was doing little more than using those old gloves from the Rocky movies as a time capsule that represents a more difficult time. And it was in a very general sense, not specific or exclusive to boxing.
The point that he was making was the boxing gloves they may have used in the early 80s aren't in use anymore.
They're not even allowed. Everything now is more streamlined. Just true, everything now is softer and geared towards comfortability. Convenience is what's paramount. And using those old gloves as a parallel for that is customary and in keeping with what you would expect from someone Sylvester Stallone's age. Devin didn't like that.
Not at first, but he walked back those comments.
He then said, "Sylvester Stallone is a legend, and I have nothing but love for the whole Rocky series." To which Teofimo Lopez responded, "Shut that shit up. You said what you said about Sly. Don't backtrack now, you bum." The first thing I want to say is that I agree with Sylvester. Those were just different times and more difficult than what you see now, in the boxing sense and in a very general sense, yes.
They absolutely were.
I don't expect anybody in this this younger generation to like hearing that these are softer times and people are more sensitive. The pursuit of comfort makes for a soft ass.
But it's the truth.
Devin complaining about it only services as a testament to what Sylvester's talking about, because who are you to gatekeep what he thinks?
Mind your own business.
Social media makes that almost impossible to do, but let's be honest, Devin Haney didn't come up in the same lightweight division as, say, a Roberto Duran. The same super lightweight division as, say, Aaron Pryor or Costi Azeu.
No.
This is a much softer era than the previous ones were. In this era, it's a lot easier to win an alphabet title. It's a lot easier to see yourself become a world champion because there are so many more world titles.
It's another example.
Where before, there were not that many of them, and thus one was more difficult to come by, more difficult to procure. Marvin Hagler is a prime example. This man had 49 professional fights before he actually ever got to box for an alphabet title at just 25 years old.
49 fights.
Going into the Vito and Teofimo fight for what was the WBC middleweight title, where these days you can have a title emailed to you. So long as you pay the right people, pay the sanctioning bodies to secure a cushy spot in their rank standings, you can have a title emailed to you. A title is much easier to come by in this era than in the previous one. So when Sylvester says that those old gloves from the early 80s represent a more difficult time, he's right. And you don't want to hear that coming from him, but it isn't any less true based on who it's coming from.
Still true.
Why always tell you about these guys? They're more worried about the messenger than the actual message.
Still true.
The boxers themselves oftentimes think that they can gatekeep what the outsiders think, what the spectators in this spectator sport might think or what they might say, as if they need their permission.
As if Sylvester needs yours to make a parallel?
Bitch, please. Your era of boxing is so soft. Social media influencers are perfectly comfortable endeavoring into your world.
Conditions were harsher back then. It's a statistical fact.
Guys are boxing for 12 rounds in this era. They used to box for 15. And these kinds of commentaries are not even exclusive to boxing. I hear it about the NBA all the time.
Things are softer now, and it's not the same sport that it used to be.
I hear that about the NBA all the time, so when I see something similar said about the sport of boxing,
I'm not surprised.
it isn't any less true because it came from an actor who merely played a boxer, because the message is the pursuit of comfort makes for a soft ass.
Hard times breed hard people.
Hit dog will holler.
What, you felt like that was a shot at you and your generation? Maybe it was.
Sylvester ain't the only one saying it.
This whiny, attention-starved generation of youngsters who think they're elders have to spare their feelings and run it by them first before making a social commentary. You think that Sylvester needs to get over himself because he only played a boxer? I think you need to get over yourself because you are just a boxer, one of many.
Devin really does have a penchant for putting his foot in his mouth.
A lot of youngsters do these days, speaking out of turn and greatly lacking any situational awareness.
Did Sylvester hurt your feelings?
Are you offended? You want he should apologize to you?
Why are you mad?
Because what he said is true? Because what he said about this generation applies to you?
Why are you mad?
He's not the one that needs to get over himself. You are.